So without further ado, just want to welcome Nathaniel Bibby to the stage.
Sweet. Thank you. Do I have a clicker or?
Yeah. Where's the clicker?
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Can you make a bit more noise for me, please? How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? There we go. I know it's been a long day. I'm going to talk to you today about sales and how to use LinkedIn to get more customers. Everything I teach you today is going to be results-based. It's things that I've tried in my own business, made me a lot of money and made me very successful in my business and made my clients a lot of money as well. I won't teach you anything that hasn't got results. Am I doing it without a deck today, guys? Or no worries. So would it be helpful if I gave you a little bit of background as to how I got started in business and why I do LinkedIn marketing? Yeah. Okay, cool. Right on cue. Okay, so when I started my career in marketing, I was selling real estate in Thailand. And I was selling real estate to foreigners. I started in low season. We hadn't sold a property in 6 months. And there's no foreigners on the island. I was sitting there in an office. It was raining outside. No foreigners on the island to buy property. So the only way that I could connect with customers was through the internet. I had a laptop in front of me, so I learned how to get a website to the top of Google for key phrases like property investment Thailand. And by the time high season came around, we were getting 10 leads a day. And we managed to sell 93 pool villas out in one high season, did 4 more developments after that, and I got recruited by a company in Hong Kong that heard that I can get real estate websites to the top of Google. And while I was on the aeroplane to move to Hong Kong to my new glorious job, Google did something that I'd never heard of before, called an algorithm update. And all of a sudden, all the pages that were ranking number 1 in the search results ended up on page 100 of the search results. And so I learned the hard way that you have to have the ability in digital marketing to adapt in order to be successful. At the time, I learned about Google AdWords. I could get real estate-related keywords for like 20 cents a click. Now they're $20. And when social media came along, I was struggling with how I was going to make money off of posting stuff on Facebook about what I had for breakfast and stuff like that. And so when LinkedIn came along, I quickly decided that it was the platform for me. At the time, I'd moved back to Melbourne. I was targeting, I was in an online marketing job. Never worked in online marketing specifically before. I was always in real estate. And I said to my employer, what's the best leads that you can get in online marketing? And he said, plastic surgeons. Plastic surgeons, they don't know anything about marketing. They need a constant flow of inbound leads, and they've got a lot of money, and they don't know much about marketing, right? So I thought, okay, I'll go and knock on all their doors. So I go around to all the practices. They've got this thing called the practice managers. Basically, their job is to stop salespeople getting to the surgeon. So that didn't work. So I tried cold calling them all. I'm pretty good on the telephone. Couldn't get past the practice manager. So then I thought, why don't I try this LinkedIn thing? And so I contacted 10 surgeons. I had 6 responses. I had 4 meetings, and I made 1 sale. But the cool thing was, because it was in the ideal demographic, that sale was a website for $23,000, which at the time was quite a lot of money for a website for the company I was working for. So I thought, okay, there's a scalable system, right? So I've contacted 10 surgeons in week 1. The second week, I contacted 20 surgeons. So I made 2 sales. And we scaled that business extremely quickly. So we went from having 8 employees to 120 employees within 18 months. Off the back of LinkedIn marketing, lead generation. And that's when I decided to start my business. And since then, we've grown from strength to strength. In the last couple of years, LinkedIn's become a content platform. So, I was making money off of LinkedIn just by direct messaging people. Now, you can post content on there, and it's very similar to all of the other social media sites. However, a lot of the social media speakers or trainers that you'll come across, they'll talk to you about that side of it, the content side of it, because they weren't on the platform before when you can private message people. So that's where you can get a direct return on investment immediately. If you hone in on a target market, it doesn't matter if you're targeting surgeons, dentists, engineers, IT companies, digital marketers, accountants, financial advisors. You can hone in on exact industries that are in the exact job title and set appointments with them. So if I connect with somebody on LinkedIn, it's very different than following someone on Instagram or following someone on Facebook or subscribing to someone's YouTube channel. You've sent them a connection request. They've accepted the connection request. That's almost like, it's like exchanging business cards, right? It's implied consent that you can contact them down the track. We're going to go through some of these slides. Okay, we've explained some of the companies I've worked with. The main reason I put this slide up there is just to show that it's not always business to business. People assume that LinkedIn generally is business to business. I've worked with a lot of business to consumer type businesses as well. I'm going to ask you to do something called crowd participation. So when you see this slide, I want you to repeat the words that you can see on the screen there. So can we do a trial run? 1, 2, 3. Can achieve the same results. Good job. Has anybody been skydiving before in the audience? Okay, cool. I'm particularly scared of heights. I went skydiving in the Gold Coast. That's me jumping out of an airplane. I was at a Tony Robbins seminar. Anybody been to Tony Robbins before? A few of you? Tony said something that really resonated with me. He said, there's only one thing that trumps fear, and that's massive action. But he sort of locked eyes with me, and Tony's got a bit of a presence, so you kind of like feel it when he locks eyes with you. So I decided to jump out of an airplane. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I had no idea where we were going to land. I had no idea where we were going to pull the chute. I had no idea what height to pull the chute at. But that dude on the back is basically the reason that I survived. And I think a lot of us are going into digital marketing without a plan. We don't know where we're going to pull the chute. We don't know what height we're going to pull the chute. We don't know where we're going to land. We don't even know what our objective is. Would that be fair to say? And so what I'm hoping to achieve, and we've only got an hour together, is that you can leave with a little bit of a plan that you can implement in your business so that you don't end up landing flat on your face. So the number one trend in digital marketing right now, any guesses to what that might be? Video? Any other ideas? Stories, yeah. So what we're talking about here are all hacks, right? The number one trend, I believe, in digital marketing right now is fear. It's trust, right? Because a lot of people can capture attention. And you can do that through video, and you can do that through stories, and you can do that through spending money on clicks. But what most people miss out on is they don't hold on to that attention. And so they always have to get new attention to get more sales. The way that you keep that attention is by building trust. And if people trust you, they're more likely to buy from you, right? Is that fair to say? So there's three aspects to what I'm going to talk about today. It's getting attention, building trust, and then how to convert that trust into dollars. Because at the end of the day, we're all here to build revenue for our businesses. If you don't make money off social media, it won't be sustainable. And I think that if you are adding value to your community, you should be making a lot of money. Otherwise, something's not working properly. Most people, when it comes to social media, do what this gentleman's doing right here, and they stick their head in the sand because they don't understand it, right? Social media is a very different way of marketing than what a lot of us are used to. Because you've got to add value. It's a social environment. It's like going to a business networking function. You can't just go in and go me, and expect people to buy from you. You can't even give people value and then have the expectation that they're going to do something in return. Because have you ever been given a gift, but there's an expectation attached to it? It kind of loses its value, doesn't it? So it's time to kick traditional concepts of marketing and advertising to the curb. Anybody guess how many members there are on LinkedIn globally? Any ideas? Okay, cool. So there's 640 million members on LinkedIn. In Australia alone, there's 10 million members, which is pretty much the white-collar workforce, right? Just to put it in perspective, 640 million on LinkedIn, there's 1 billion members on Instagram, okay? But this is a business platform. The average income bracket's a lot higher than all the other social platforms. This is out of date, 640 million now. Who's in business to business in the room? Business to consumer? Okay, cool. So there's a good balance. With business to consumer, you're going to be focused more on distribution channels or business partnerships. So you've got to think about who's also dealing with your market that may be on LinkedIn that you can connect with and benefit from. Inbound marketing and outbound marketing. So the difference between inbound marketing and outbound marketing, anyone want to yell out what the difference might be? Cool. So if this is you, right? Outbound marketing is when you run and tell as many people about your business as you can, hoping that you find someone that's interested. A good example of this would be TV advertising, leaflet drops, radio, correct. And so inbound marketing, as you can probably imagine, is where people are already looking for what you do and you're just showing up in the right spot. Okay? Example of this would be Google, right? Google advertising. People are searching for what you do already. Which ones do you think is more effective? Okay, correct. So the new normal, I don't have to explain this to you. You've all seen how much people are using their mobile devices. The average attention span of a person is now less than a goldfish. Does anybody use cold calling in the room? Yep, a long time ago. How effective are you finding it? Okay, so is it... So when you say cold calling, how cold is it? Like, where are you getting these phone numbers from? Google, okay. Okay. This is what I'm going to suggest to you guys, right? And I may not be right, but you test it, right? The numbers don't lie. At the end of the day, if you can get numbers better than what I'm talking about on here, then you should go do that. Don't follow my advice. If you're getting results, the numbers don't lie, guys. Everything should be mapping back to return on investment. But what I'm going to suggest is that you'll get better results if you make that call to people that you've connected with first and found a little bit more information from them. Because online, would it be fair to say that you can get more information than a phone number? By connecting with them on LinkedIn, do the research. And so if you connect with somebody on LinkedIn first, find out some information from them, then give them a call, in my view, that's a warm call, not a cold call. The statistics say that cold calling is effective 1% of the time now. So if you call someone out of the blue, they don't know you from a bar of soap, you can get an appointment with somebody 1% of the time when you call them. That's what the statistics say. Yeah. And I'll just repeat, like, if it's working for you, keep doing it. Because, at the end of the day, we're just here to do things that work, right? Social media impacts every stage of the customer journey, right? So we're not just talking about the inspiration or awareness stage, we're talking about research, purchase, and post-purchase as well. And it's pretty similar throughout the customer journey. You want to stand out from the crowd on social media. So people always ask me, well, how many connections should I have? How many followers should I have? You look at your competitors and you do more than that, right? You want to stand out. Profile optimization on LinkedIn is quite important. So ranking at the top of the search results. It's a little bit different to some of the other social channels out there because if you go on Instagram, for example, if you go on someone's profile, what do you see? You just see a library of historical content, right? Whereas on LinkedIn, if you go to somebody's profile, generally you see a copy of their CV. So I saw LinkedIn's second business plan when they did a second round of capital raising, and it said LinkedIn is a site where people are going to upload their CVs and recruiters are going to use it to find talent. That was it. There was no mention of salespeople or marketers. So it's basically this database of CVs. And then what's happened since then is there's more salespeople and more marketers using the platform than recruiters. And so LinkedIn's had to adapt its model, right? And so if you're in sales, if you give somebody a copy of your CV to somebody that's looking to buy from you, I'd argue that could be one of the most boring pieces of content you could possibly give a potential buyer, right? So if you've got a copy of your CV on your LinkedIn profile and you're using LinkedIn to get more customers, you probably need to update your profile. Does that make sense? You want to write it in customer-centric language. If somebody searches for your name, what do they see at the top of the search results on Google generally? It's a social media profile generally, right? And if your LinkedIn profile's optimized, it'll be the one that's sitting number one if it's optimized correctly. And so if people are searching for your name and they're coming across your LinkedIn profile, how far down that customer journey are they? They're probably quite far down, right? And so you don't know how many people you're losing by having a copy of your CV up there instead of having something that communicates your value proposition to the potential customer. So the way LinkedIn works is you have this network, and then you have access to your secondary network. So when I was selling real estate in Thailand, when somebody used to buy from me, I used to say, hey, do you know anyone else that would be interested in buying a villa in Phuket? If so, put their name down, I'll give them a call and see if they are also interested, right? Whereas these days, I can have a look at one of my clients, all of their network on LinkedIn, and I can find the ideal customers, and I can say, can you introduce me to these 3 people? It's a lot more powerful because I can see the whole of my client's referral network. So people say to me a lot, like, oh, LinkedIn's crap, it's just full of sales letters and recruitment letters. That has nothing to do with LinkedIn. It's to do with their network, right? Because if they've sat there and accepted or rejected connection requests from salespeople and recruiters, what kind of messages do you expect to get on LinkedIn? You're going to get salespeople and you're going to get recruiters. Whereas if you're not reactive, if you're proactive and you go out and target people in your target demographic and you're the one sending the connection requests, you're going to have a different experience on LinkedIn. It's all to do with the quality of your network. So who's actually been the one sending out connection requests on their LinkedIn profile? See, my guess is you'd have a much better network because you're the one who's decided who's going to be in it. And these are the people that are consuming your content. You know, on Instagram, you can't just like go and request people to follow you. Hey, can you follow my stuff? Can you follow my stuff? Could you follow my stuff because you're in my target market? You have to be reactive. You just get people who follow you, whoever want to follow you, they follow you. Whereas on LinkedIn, you can be more decisive as to who's in your network. Because I'm pretty active on Instagram as well, and all the other social channels, but LinkedIn is where I make the most money, and that's because of this reason. So how do you optimize your LinkedIn profile? Well, the photograph's important, and we learned a little bit about that from the previous speaker. I think you should get a professional headshot. It's quite important. It's where people are going to look first, right? Sorry. Your LinkedIn web address becomes important as well. This is where Google is going to be looking at things to show you up at the top of the search results. It looks at things like your URL and stuff like that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
If you're a company, would you have your logo?
So the question was, if you were a company...
Because we're a company, partnership, building, would that be our logo or a picture of both of us?
So it would be a company
or the
page you're
looking
talking
one,
about, which is a different profile. And it would be the logo, but you're always going to get the best results on LinkedIn through a personal profile.
Yeah, okay.
And so you both have one individually as well.
Cool.
Because it's a social media site, right? People want to buy from individuals. They don't want to buy from logos.
I've got the profile set up for our company, which I'm not active on it, but I've done it, right? I've set it up. And I've got a picture of the 4 of us as a family, because it's a family business. Do you think that's okay?
So did you say it was a company page or a personal profile?
No, a company, as in Crockers Paint and Wallpaper. So I put the 4 of us as a family as a photo. Do you think
that's fine.
rather than the logo?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just that you're not going to get as good a results when you try to connect with people or post content. You should have a personal profiles as well.
So how do they link?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know enough about it clearly, but just asking.
Great question.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
Because I've got both personal and company, and I'd put no content on either.
Yeah.
But if I was to start putting content on about glass, because I want to attract glass sales, do I just do it on my personal, like, do I just put job stuff on my personal, or do I replicate that on the company one as well? Like, how do you differentiate? I understand what you're saying about people want to buy from people. So, to have to maintain 2 pages, is it worth it? Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're going to pick one, pick your personal profile, because there's just not as many people will even see it on the company page. You can share it, but again, if you post it organically from your personal profile, you're going to get more views. More people will see it. Sharing stuff on LinkedIn doesn't give you much more reach. You'll notice, like, if you share someone else's content, it doesn't get that many eyeballs on it. Yeah. All right. I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of questions, and you're more than welcome to jump in as we go. There's always a lot of questions around this LinkedIn stuff. All right, so the About section at the top of the profile, I know you can't read that, but it is the most important part. If people are going to look at anything on your profile, you want to make sure that you have keywords in there that are relevant to your customers. So what might your customers be searching for on LinkedIn? Because people will use it as a search engine. If I'm looking for an accountant, I could go to Google and I could look for accountant in Sydney, and I'll see all the ads and I can, choose which website I'm going to look at, or I could look at who's in my network already by searching on LinkedIn. And so, if you're in my network and you're an accountant in Sydney, you want to make sure you're showing up at the top of search results. You do that through optimizing it with keywords. Just to give you an idea of the difference it can make, this is a graph from a profile we optimized. It went from having 0 profile views per day to having 91 profile views a day. You can imagine if you amplify that through multiple people throughout the team, you can very quickly get more traffic on your LinkedIn profiles than you can on a website if they're optimized effectively. Sweet. It's good to know. All right, social proof. So social proof is about building trust. So when I used to go on holiday, right, in somewhere new, and I wanted to find a restaurant to eat out in, I would literally walk out of the hotel and I'd walk down the street and I'd see like a restaurant on the left-hand side that'd be empty, no people in it. I'd see one on the right-hand side that's full of people. Which one do you think would have better food? Okay, one full of people, right? And so these days I don't bother walking out on the street. I just look on TripAdvisor and I look at how many reviews there are and what's the average rating out of 5 stars. And people are doing the same thing with your brand. But LinkedIn is basically the TripAdvisor for professionals. So this is a good example. Like, what's this line for? I don't know. But everyone's standing here, it must be good. So like my LinkedIn Heroes series, which Mark mentioned, where I interview entrepreneurs making an impact, like I've been interviewing these like celebrity entrepreneurs for a while now, and people ask me, well, how do you get like these interviews with these really famous, well-known entrepreneurs? And the reality is, it's just literally because you get one, you get another one, you've got a certain amount of followers, and they go, well, if all these people are following him, it must be good. Yes, we'll do the interview. It's no different with your brand when people buy from you. So when you get to a certain level where you have got a lot of followers and you've got a lot of people that want to do business with you, you'll find there's less competition. You get to a position where you can charge premium pricing because it's a blue ocean. There's no competitors. People want to do business with a perceived expert, and that's you. Then you can charge what you want. There's no competitors. Like when I started my business 5-6 years ago, if I went to like a potential client, they would be meeting with 3 or 4 different LinkedIn trainers, and I'd put my proposal in, and maybe I win, maybe I wouldn't. These days, that doesn't happen anymore. If they come to me, they come because they believe that I'm the perceived expert, and I can charge them what they want, and they want to do business with me, and that's it. At the start, when I was posting content to begin with, it was very difficult because people say, well, why are you posting that for? Why are you spending all your time doing content for? And I didn't have any results to show for it. But now, they go, oh, he's so lucky, he's the perceived expert in his industry. So who's posting content on social media on a daily basis, just out of curiosity? Keep your hand up if you're doing it on LinkedIn. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you do it on LinkedIn or not. Well, I mean, obviously it does, but it depends on your audience, right? It doesn't matter if it's on Facebook or Instagram. If your audience is there and you're being social with them on a daily basis in a way that adds value, either through entertainment, inspiration, or education, you're going to build a social connection with your audience. But you just got to make sure they're hanging out there. I love LinkedIn because it's one of the few places you can get organic reach still. You can do it on Instagram as well. On Facebook, it's pretty much over. Like, you've got to pay to play on Facebook. It doesn't matter if you've got 100,000 followers, you can't reach them unless you invest in it. Sorry, we've got a question?
Is the strategy for LinkedIn like what you would do for Instagram or Facebook, where your content is designed to enhance your connection desirability? Is that the point? I'm not really that clear on what LinkedIn is for, essentially, and how...
Well, content on any platform is designed to build a relationship with somebody, right? So you want to build stronger relationships with people through social media. That's it.
So if you're putting up content, what type of content is suitable for LinkedIn? I imagine it'd be quite different to what you'd put on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the premise of it is the same. It needs to add value. And so there's 3 ways that you can add value through content. One is entertainment, one is education, and one is inspiration. On LinkedIn is a lot more educational content because of the business environment. You've got to think about the context. And also, like on Instagram, right, you scroll through the news feed, what do you see first, the picture or the caption? Picture, right? So the picture has to draw the attention in, and then the caption is where you put the value. On LinkedIn, what's first, the caption or the picture? The caption's first. So if you've got a video that you post on LinkedIn, nobody's going to watch it unless the caption compels them to. So the caption becomes more important to capture attention. And so you might start with a question that maybe the audience doesn't know the answer to, like, what's your sales process, right? Most businesses don't have one, right? So it draws the attention in. If somebody does watch your video on LinkedIn, after 10 seconds, 50% of the people that press play are gone, on average. After a minute, 80% are gone. So what do people do generally in the first 10 seconds of their videos? They put their phone on and they go, oh, hi, it's Nathaniel here. I'm from Bibby Consulting. I thought I'd just jump on here and do a video. 10 seconds, 50% are gone. Right? So you need to jump in with the value straight away. When I first started creating video content, I got really hung up on my introduction video, right? I had these aerial shots of Sydney and Melbourne, and there was me walking along with my sunglasses on and like meeting celebrity entrepreneurs, speaking on stage. No one was interested in any of that crap except me. I thought it was really cool. I still think it is, but none of my audience do, right? They're all gone. They're there for the content, so you've got to get straight into it. I still will do it. Like if I'm interviewing somebody, I'll say, oh, hi, this is so-and-so, welcome, blah, 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 blah. But when I go to publish it, I cut all that stuff off. Because no one's interested in all that stuff. Okay, I did a seminar for Westpac, and it was for their youth network. And so they're all under the age of 30, 150 people in the audience. And I said, put your hand up if you've got a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile. The recommendation is just a testimonial that someone has to submit. And 3 people put their hand up. All under the age of 30, all computer savvy, probably never licked a postage stamp before. And I said, keep your hand up if you've got more than 1 recommendation on your LinkedIn profile. 1 person out of 150. So how easy is it to stand out from the crowd if all you need is 2 recommendations on your LinkedIn profile and you're 1 in 150? You guys are good at this. Okay, so what I want to achieve today is give you a system for lead generation. This is something you can take away and generate leads for immediately. I've had people do this during my talks where they've literally generated a lead while I'm speaking, but you'll be able to do it, go away and generate leads tonight. It's a 3-step process: find, connect, and engage. And so the way the numbers work, this is what we do for our clients, by the way. This is the biggest area of my business. So if you find, so let's say you find 200 people in your target audience. Let's say you target directors of financial advisory firms, just as an example, in Sydney. So you find 200 of them, you send them all connection requests on LinkedIn. On average, 50% will accept immediately. So you've got 100 new connections in your ideal demographic, ideal target audience. All you've done is ask them to connect. You haven't asked them to buy from you or get in a phone call or any of that stuff. But then you send them all a message and you say, hey, thank you for connecting. I noticed that you're a financial advisor. We work with financial advisors. I'm interested in finding out more about your business objectives to see if there's an opportunity for us to work together. What's the best number to reach you on? Not all of them are going to say, yeah, let's hop on a call, but on average, between 10 to 30% of people that you contact will. So let's just be ultra conservative. 10 people say, yeah, let's chat. So that's 10 leads. There's no reason why you couldn't do 400 connection requests the next week. And this is free. Like, you're not paying any money to LinkedIn to do any of this stuff. They offer you these emails where you can send sales messages to people for free. They convert about 2 to 3%, whereas as you can see, these convert at 10%, conservatively. So it's a lot cheaper to do it for free. And that's just based on the fact that this was a recruitment portal. It was never designed for sales and marketers, so their products don't actually suit the market just yet. On average, 50% of those 10 will be ready to do something now. 50% maybe down the track. And so you just want to find out which of those 50% really quickly, and so you can do business with them. But you'll very quickly, you'll be connected to so many financial advisory firms in Sydney that you'll be the perceived expert in that industry quite quickly. So after you've connected with 1,000 of them, and you send out the next connection request, you'll see all these mutual connections, and they go, oh, wow, he's connected to all these other people in my industry. He must be the expert. Right? Does that make sense? Okay, so who's seen sales letters in their inbox on LinkedIn? Like this, right? What are some of the things you think that this person has done wrong when they've sent this message? Yep. Yeah, aside from the English, yep. So it's all about him, right? It's all about the person sending it. They've shown no interest in the person who's receiving the message. This is straight out of my LinkedIn inbox. And to be honest, I've seen, I look in my clients' inboxes, I know what sales letters are sent to people. 90% of them do this wrong. They talk about themselves. No one cares about, you. The one thing that you can be guaranteed that everybody's interested in talking about is themselves. Guaranteed. So if you don't talk about yourself at all and show interest in the other person, then you're much more likely to get a favorable response. This one's not bad. It's shorter. I like that. The idea is now we're connected, hopefully we can find time for a face-to-face just to see if maybe my products might be of value to your clients. So there's one subtle change that would make this a good message, because it's not a good message, and it would be as if you said, just to see if maybe your products might be of value to my clients. If you worded it that way, it would get a good response rate, because it's talking about the value to the person you're sending it to. This could be somebody in a complementary industry that might deal with the same clients as me. But you're putting the value in the wording that benefits the person you're sending it to. Okay, this is an actual example of one of the messages we've sent for one of my clients. So it mentions that we've got connections in common. I've taken a look at your profile. I'm interested in speaking with you and finding about what you do, as there seems to be some synergies between yourself and the clients we typically choose to work with. So when somebody receives a message like that, they're going to wonder, who the hell's Maureen, right? What does she do? And they'll click on her name and read her profile. So it's very different to a cold call, because when you do a cold call, you have to explain who you are and why you're calling. It's the first thing you do, right? Whereas on LinkedIn, you don't need to do either of those things, because they can click on your name and read your profile. And it may seem like a very subtle difference, but when somebody clicks on your name, it's an inbound activity, right? Because they've asked for the information, therefore they're more likely to consume it, rather than you pushing it onto them, which is basically an outbound activity. Most people don't want to be sold to. Most people want to be helped. Generally, you'll find that if people have the problem that you solve, they want to buy. They've got a problem. They want to solve it. They want to buy. They just don't want to be sold to. So help them buy. Don't sell to them. On social media, if you help people, you'll find you get a much better response than if you sell to them. People want to do business with people that help them buy. Help people buy, don't sell to them. So Maureen, I'll just share this story with you. She was selling real estate to people in Singapore, Australian real estate. And she thought, it's a shame that LinkedIn's not going to work for me because, real estate is pretty much B2C. It's not B2B. Therefore, how's it going to work for me? And what we decided to do was we targeted CEOs that were based in Singapore that went to university in Australia. So there's a good chance that they'll be interested in Australian property. Invited them to an event about Australian real estate in Singapore. And within a few days, she'd almost doubled her network and had 10 qualified leads. She still uses this strategy today to sell real estate, to funnel people into events. And in the last few weeks, LinkedIn have introduced an events feature. Does anybody run events for their business at all? Okay, well, if you run events, check out LinkedIn events. It's a pretty cool way to get a lot of people to an event. I used it over 3 days, over a weekend, and Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, we managed to get 850 people registered for each city by using LinkedIn events. All it does is invites people in your network, and instead of when you normally get connection requests and it says, Maureen wants to be your connection on LinkedIn, it says Nathanial would like to invite you to this event, and you press accept or not. It's a pretty powerful way to market to your network if you are running events. But you can do that same thing with a private message, right? Invite them to an event, and it makes them feel like quite special that you've taken the time to send them an individual message. Because a lot of this stuff's not automated. However, it can be systemized. So one of the reasons that my business has done so well is we've systemized it for businesses to outsource to us to do lead generations. Because when I was generating leads, when I go back to that story, when I was sending out 10 messages to a surgeon, then 20 messages the next week, and we grew that business so quickly, it's because I systemized it. I gave the scripts to an assistant for her to send out on my behalf. Nothing was left to initiative. It's the same script that's going out, and it's not automated, it's systemized. And then I thought, well, why can't we do that for customers? So instead of the client sitting there and sending the messages themselves, they outsource to us. 95% of the people that I've trained on LinkedIn marketing think that it's fantastic, and they think that what I'm teaching them is very valuable, but they don't implement it. 95% do not implement it. Why not? Well, it's time. It takes time to do, right? And also because they're afraid of doing something wrong. It's interesting, like with this private messaging stuff's pretty straightforward, but with content, like people are afraid to post because they're afraid of doing something wrong. But you learn how to create engaging content by posting. It's actually about making mistakes quicker. Okay, so how did it work with Maureen? So we're getting into quite a bit of detail here, but on the advanced people search, right, you can target exactly these fields. So like, what's the job title? Third one down, director, CEO. What school did they go to? Monash University. What location? Singapore. Industry, finance, legal, banking. Interested in property investments, groups, real estate investment Australia. That's how granular you can get with the search results. So we sent 500 connection requests for Maureen. This is in the first month we ran this campaign. We had 277 people accept, and they all got the message inviting them to the seminar. 42 people said yes, confirmed, and showed up to the seminar. Okay. What have we got here? We'll do this again. Cool. I want to spend a bit of time now on Q&A, because I'm sure you guys have got a lot of questions. Put your hand up if you've got some questions, and we'll get the mics running around.
Hi, just a question in respect to premium versus just the normal LinkedIn membership. Is there pros, cons? Is it worthwhile?
Yeah, generally, like you'll find that if you're using the normal LinkedIn, that you'll run into some limitations if you're using it to generate leads. You don't need a premium account to generate leads, though, like to actually get a return on investment. So if you're just starting out on LinkedIn, a free account is absolutely fine. It's just when you start to, reach a point where you're looking at too many profiles in a day, or if you specifically want to search by things like the size of a company, you need to upgrade to do that. But other than that, you can use a free account to get the result.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Thanks.
Are there any parameters on the amount of people you can friend request? Because I know, like Instagram, they're like, "Ooh, slow down, stop messaging people."
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So what LinkedIn's concerned about is if a lot of people are saying, no, I don't know this person, or this, even worse, this person is spam. And so if you get too many of those, then you'll be restricted. Just to give you an idea, so I know where the boundaries are, because none of my clients have ever been restricted by LinkedIn, but I've been banned 8 times, I think it is now. So I do know where the boundaries are.
That would be me.
Yeah. So the way to manage that, if you are sending a lot of connection requests out, is once a connection request has been pending for 3 or 4 weeks, you can withdraw it. So I actually go through all my pending connection requests, and all the old ones, I just withdraw them. Because no one's going to accept after 3 or 4 weeks. And that way I'll manage it so that there's not too many outstanding.
Do you then re-request, or you just move along?
Just move along, yeah. There's so many people out there, right, to target. They probably end up getting requested to at some point.
So I'm trying to build my business as a brand and not myself, for future sale and that sort of thing. How this strategy is about me connecting with people. Can you talk to that a little bit?
So say that again?
I don't want to build myself as a brand. I want to build my business as a brand, but I have to use LinkedIn, my personal profile, to connect with people, but I don't want to build myself as a brand.
How big's the business?
How do I do it? In the space we're in, we're a good size.
Yeah.
Is
Is there other salespeople, or?
They're transient.
Okay. Yeah, look, it's a tough one. Like on social media, you're always going to get better results, especially as a small business, as a personal brand. Because this is one thing that the big companies don't have, right? That they can't compete with, is you've got a personal brand as a small business. It's social media platforms. You're never going to get the same result. If I approach you as a company, and say, hey, how you going? What are you up to? Like, no one wants to talk to a company, right? They want to talk to an individual. So you can build up salespeople within your organization, but then you run the risk that they're going to leave and take their whole network with them. And so, it is a question that comes up a lot, but if you're going to be active on social media, personal branding is the most effective way to do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So with all the messages that you send out, like the invites, you write a bit of a blurb introducing yourself. If you're inviting 500 people, that's going to take a week to write all the messages?
To 100 people?
No, 500 people. It would be a lot of messages that you have to, so copy-pasting, but still.
500 people takes my team 5 hours. Yeah. 100 people an hour. Yeah.
How many people have you got in your team to do that?
Oh, just one person doing that.
One person,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So, it's just copy and paste, right? You just got to put their first name in.
And do you outsource that? That could be systemized and just ask somebody elsewhere.
Yeah, you outsource it, yeah. You delegate it.
Yeah. Cool.
Delegate it to someone in your team, to a company like mine. You can go offshore if you want to. So you just got to make sure you manage the quality, right? Because you can't afford to make mistakes in this area. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm still having trouble with what we were talking about before. Because on all social media platforms, I'm trying to keep it consistent, that we're having the Crockers Paint and Wallpaper social media, Instagram, Facebook, and then obviously the LinkedIn one that's sitting there doing nothing. So I would like to think that we're showing the same thing across everywhere, but the way I'm getting LinkedIn is it has to be slightly different. But why can't we speak as the family to our audience? Because I don't want it to be just me. There's Sean as well. If the two of us are doing different things, to me it feels like we're spreading everything out too much. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah.
So what would the strategy be in order to keep the LinkedIn as Crockers?
Look, so the company page can be the same and it can be generic content. What I'm suggesting is you're going to get more engagement through personal profiles and also by growing your network on your personal profiles. So I think you use that as a foundation, and then amplify that content with your personal profiles and use it as a networking tool.
So if we have our personal ones, we're kind of speaking about our business.
Correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, spot on.
Hi.
Hey.
Is there any benefit in using your first degree connections to introduce you to connections within their group of people as a strategy, perhaps?
Yep,
Is that more, do you get better results and better numbers from that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, it's a speed thing. So, like, if I can send 100 connection requests in the same time, I can get one person to introduce me, I'll do that. Because it's the fact that they can see you as mutual connections is almost, it has some of that similar value. Like, it's a little bit like if you're in a networking function and you guys know that you both know the same people and you shake hands, like, they're not going to be rude to you, right? If you know that you've got the same mutual connections. So for me, it's a speed thing. You got to weigh up quantity and quality. Decide where you sit. Yeah.
Okay. So walk us through outsourcing then. So if I went to your company and said I wanted to outsource my LinkedIn marketing, would I then hand over access to my personal page to one of your staff members?
Yeah, you would, yeah. So
your laugh is awesome, man.
But this is the thing, right? There's nothing left to initiative. Like anything we do is going to be, we're going to show you who the people we're going to reach out to, what we're going to say to them, and then any replies that come back, it's over to you. We're not going to be coming up with replies based on, like, pretending to be you. So it's just like we're an extension of what you're already doing. We come up with a strategy, who we're going to target, what we're going to say to the people. We even give you the list of people that we're going to contact, and then we'll do it for you. Yeah.
So one of your packages is, if I understand this correctly, is you work with us through our profile and how we're actually going to market to them, and help us design the messages.
Correct.
And then that would be scripted, and your team will go with it.
Yeah, that's right. Because I want you guys to get, I want my clients to get the results. So it's not enough for me to just teach them how to do it, because 95% of them don't do it, right? I've actually got to get in there and do it for them, and then they're going to get the result and grow their business. And then you've got to learn what to say to these people on the phone. So what do you say when you do call up somebody? So you say, like, the purpose of this phone call is to find out a bit more of business, to see if there's an opportunity for us to do business together. Frame the conversation so they know what to expect. I know you guys have done a lot to do with Oren and Pitch Anything today. That guy's ideal for LinkedIn marketing. He knows exactly how to frame a conversation so that people feel comfortable enough to tell you the information that you need to find out if they've got the problem that you solve. And then you're away to the races. Because you don't want to do business with people that don't have the problem you solve. There's too many people out there that do have the problem. You don't want to talk people into something that they don't want to do. You just want to find out who's got the problem quickly so that you can meet their needs.
How much does it cost to do it with you?
$2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yep. Who's got a microphone? Oh, right here.
So my core deliverable is web design and SEO, which when I say that today to people who ask what I do, I realise how generic it is. So there's a lot of strategy involved in that informs what I then do. But I'm just thinking that's just going to be a hard pitch anywhere on social media, surely, because it's just so overdone.
Well, everyone needs it, right?
But everyone, the next thing anyone would ever say when you bring that up is, oh, I get emails every day or I'm contacted every day. So how do you differentiate? I mean, I can do it with content and maybe industry focus.
Educate people. Look, I'm from the digital marketing industry, right? And I cannot find a good web developer. I need my website redone. So if I was following somebody that had content that was who positioned themselves as a perceived expert, I would naturally want to do business with them. SEO is exactly the same thing. There's so much rubbish out there. There's so much crap out there. You can differentiate yourself very easily by putting educational content that shows people you actually know what you're talking about.
So how to see the rubbish?
Sorry?
How to see the rubbish.
Yeah. How to stand out from the crowd. No worries. I'll have to get your card later. Yep.
Hi, I just had a question around the type of content. So with educational, inspirational, is it about the work that you do as a company?
Yeah. So it doesn't have to be. You can add value by educating people about all sorts of things. It doesn't necessarily have to be about your business. I found that the winning formula is you educate people by adding value and then you share the results that you've got for your customers rather than selling.
Like as with an image?
Or a video, yep. Or even an article. If there's introverts in the room, articles are great. They do really well on LinkedIn. But if you share the results that your customers got, it's about them, you know? You're bigging the customer up. Look at the results they've achieved. Yes, they did it through doing business with me, but they've achieved it. So it's not about you ranting and raving about yourself. Anybody here heard of the mere exposure effect? A few of you, yeah. So it's something I learned from a guy called Kerwin Ray. Is that a familiar name to anyone? No? What's so funny? I mentioned his name last night, and no one knew who he was at the seminar I was speaking at. But Kerwin Ray says the mere exposure effect basically is a psychological phenomenon that basically says that the more times that you're exposed to a brand, the more likely you are to do business with them and trust them. And so in the old days, it was 3 or 4 exposures. Now it's 23 exposures. And so if you show somebody 23 exposures through social media, they're more likely to buy from you because they'll build trust with you. However, if you show somebody 23 calls to action, you're going to piss them off, right? And so it's going to have a negative effect. And so you've got to be careful about talking about yourself too much and appearing like a dickhead, right? And you want to add value, talk about the results that you get for your customers. Much more effective way to do it. Then you can do 23 exposures and they'll actually like you at the end of it.
Is there a particular etiquette on LinkedIn, like mentioning before not going back to a previous request for connection, type of language? Is there a particular sort of...
Yeah, I think it comes down to your brand, really, and your audience, like what you're comfortable with. If there is an etiquette on LinkedIn, I probably don't follow it. Like I use swear words, I do a lot of things I shouldn't do on LinkedIn. The reason I don't go at people and send them more than one message is because there's so many other people out there and I find the conversion rates are just as good. I don't really want to keep annoying somebody. If somebody doesn't want to do business with me, that's fine. They're probably not the right client for me. But there's so many other people out there that do. So that's just the way that I choose to do it for my own brand. Yeah. Did we have another question or? Yep.
Get me 5 minutes. So with what you were saying about sending the message to people about what you can do for them. So obviously we have a lot of videos that we take at work that we show people how to do things, like as in DIY, how to paint a deck, and just to put you in the picture. Is that the type of thing that because what you said before is about don't talk about you all the time. Well, that is us. That's us doing what we know how to do. So it is helping value. Other people. But is that the kind of thing that LinkedIn likes? Because I know that Facebook likes it.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So are we on the same kind of page, or should we tweak it to...
No, that's ideal, yeah.
Is that?
When I say don't talk about you all the time, I mean make sure the content's adding value. That's all I mean. It's not that it's self-serving, like look at me, I'm awesome, like this makes me feel good. That's not what not to do. You want to add value. So what's the benefit to the audience? And those how-to videos
sort of
are ideal.
Teaching them, I guess.
Exactly.
Teachers,
That's perfect.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
I use LinkedIn a bit, so I'll just share the strategy I've been using because there's a lot of trade businesses here. So I own a scaffolding company. I'm very specific that I work for tier 2 companies. I've gone and added, you can look up the companies, say Hutchinson Builders. Every trade, like myself, Mick, we win jobs from project managers, contract administrators. We also like to have the foreman on board and the workplace health and safety officer. So you can literally go to the top 20 companies that you want to work for. You can search for contract administrators, McNab, Queensland, add them all, and you just keep growing the network from builder to builder to builder. And when I post, I never post, I'll post, and sort of what you were saying before about Facebook. If I went onto LinkedIn and went, I just want to thank my guys for doing a great job, it's sort of all right. But if I go onto Facebook, I normally go into LinkedIn, I tag the builder, and I'll fly my drone around, I'll go, this is a job we've just done for Condev. They've done an excellent job. I'll more so say how great the builder's doing, because then the builder's going to like it and share it, which they do. But if I go onto Facebook and say, builders don't like my Facebook page, scaffolders like my Facebook page. So if I go onto Facebook and go, the builder's done an awesome job, and I don't mention anything about my guys doing a good job, they're just going to think I'm an arsehole. So the wording is different on both platforms. But to make it simple, like it's just work out who your target is or who the companies are, and just work out that job role. Like if it is, mine is a project manager, just go add every project manager for the builders that you want. And it,
100%.
It works.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great value add, yep. Yep.
Does LinkedIn have any algorithms at all attached to itself like Facebook and Instagram?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they're all these social media sites. They want to give their users a good experience, right? So the algorithm's objective is just to show you the content that you want, so keep you on the platform. And so one of the easiest ways to do that is through engagement. So they look at how many likes and comments you get on your content, and then people that follow you or connected with you are likely to see your content at the top. So it is important, if you are posting content, to get engagement relatively quickly on your content. It should be authentic engagement, because what's going to happen is the algorithm's only going to get smarter. It's very similar to what I was telling you the story about when I moved to Hong Kong and I went from page 1 on Google to page 100. All that happened is Google got smarter to show people more relevant, because I was using techniques which are considered black hat, right? I was manipulating the search results. And so if you manipulate the social media news feed, eventually the algorithm will get smarter and your content won't do as well. So you want to be like getting authentic engagement really fast, and you'll show up really well in the news feed. And so when I talk about organic content doing well on LinkedIn and you being able to get free reach, this is what I'm talking about. The algorithm is still showing like people that haven't sponsored ads at the top of the news feed, whereas on Facebook, they've tried to monetize it. Facebook in the last year is the first time that they've lost market share. And what's interesting is that the people that are coming off of Facebook are the younger guys, which means that the trend's likely to continue. Does that make sense? Well, you just got to see what's working for you, right? My content is a lot to do with this. It's about the algorithm updates and stuff. So follow my content. You'll probably get some insights from me. But it's about testing and measuring, being a practitioner, being there and seeing what works, what doesn't. You've got to keep on top of it because it's always changing. But I think as a general rule, if you align your objectives with the objectives of the platform, which is to give its users a good experience, you can't really come unstuck, because in the long run, their changes to the algorithm are always going to map to that.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, like, with our Facebook, obviously, we're trying to drive people a bit to our website as well. And I'm seeing that you're all about the personal connection, maybe less so the company visibility on the LinkedIn or the company page. Are you really all about just creating a face-to-face or a phone call situation, or are you trying to drive them to your website to see your stuff as well? What's the focus there?
So I want to bring the discussion offline, so off of LinkedIn, really. You don't want to be going back and forth having discussions about business on LinkedIn. So one strategy is you pull them off onto a telephone call. It's the one thing you can do on LinkedIn which you can't do on another platform. Like on Instagram, if you follow someone and say, hey, I followed you, I'm really interested in what you do, can I have your phone number? It's not going to work, right? It's just a big no-no. Whereas on LinkedIn, it's more appropriate. So on Instagram, if you want to pull the conversation offline, you have what they call as a lead magnet, right? A lead magnet is something that, they go to your website, they fill in a form, and they got something free that they can download, and that's where you capture their details and pull the conversation offline. And that works on LinkedIn as well. I'll give you a quick hack, because we've only got 5 minutes, with the lead magnet stuff. When you post offering something, like I offer like a free LinkedIn prospecting kit, for example, right? And so normally what you would do is you'd have the link to the prospecting kit, and anyone who's interested would go to that link. What I do now is I say, anybody who would like the prospecting kit, comment below with yes, please. And so all of a sudden, instead of 100 people just firing off of LinkedIn to go get the kit, they comment first, which means the engagement of that post is a lot higher. 10 times as many people see the content, therefore I get about 10 times the result. And then everyone who's commented yes, please, I send them a private message with the link. So they still get the link, they still go to the, I still get their email address, but I get 10 times the engagement. Does that make sense? That's a really cool hack. Not many people do that. It's a way to get a lot of email addresses really quickly and a lot of eyeballs on your content. I think we've got time for one more, perhaps. So, one more question before we wrap up.
You were saying before you've done interviews with like entrepreneurs and stuff. Is that YouTube?
They're all on YouTube.
YouTube?
The series is called LinkedIn Heroes, so I post them on LinkedIn as well. That's where they get the most traction. I've got the biggest audience there. But their long-form content all ends up on YouTube. Yeah, go check them out. LinkedIn Heroes is the playlist. Got some really cool interviews on there, and I'll be interviewing Sean later on tonight, which will be awesome.
Beauty, cheers.
It's probably a good place to finish.
Awesome. Well done.
Thanks very much.
Fantastic.